Welcome to Off the Glass, the Oak Ridge High School basketball show. Thanks for tuning us in as we get closer and closer to Christmas. I mean, Coach, I know you got 2 kids. I know it probably this time of year. Now, you have more than 2 kids. You have about 30 other kids, 15 other kids that you have to deal with. But it's closer and closer to Christmas. Hard to believe it's so close.
It is. It's crazy. I know whenever November got here, and we started practice, I said, I really feel like it should be like June or July. Time just seems to go by so fast. But we're excited for Christmas to come. We know with Christmas break comes 2 big tournaments for us. But also, just the holidays, spend time with family and friends.
Let me ask you something here. Let's go back to summer. You mentioned June and July. When do you pick your team? When do you have tryouts for your team?
Well, typically we try to have them. We're not allowed to do things if like I have players in other sports, which would be track at that time. They can't be a part of our team and do our team activities until that season is over. So we typically have to wait till after track season, and that may be the last week of school. It may be the first week of June. It just depends on how far track goes.
And you have cuts and everything. So,
we do, yes. And then our freshmen can't come we can't do anything with them until the first day of summer break.
Okay, I'm just curious about that. It has absolutely nothing to do with anything. I was just curious about that because I know it's changed over the years that I guess the TSSAA doesn't want, I guess forcing those track people who might be,
Right. You get 5 days of spring practice, and if you have tryouts, that's included in that time for us.
Coach, we don't have a game to talk about from last night. I know that was kind of disappointing right there at the very last moment.
Right.
They changed the game time, and then they canceled it because of snow. But I noticed that most of the other Knoxville games took place last night.
I know we were the girls and I were getting ready to walk out the door of the arena to head over to Carnes, and I got a phone call that was told to stay put until I heard otherwise. And so I think based on how fast snow came down, how quickly it came down in other schools in our district, like in Anderson, not Knox County schools, but other teams in our district were canceling games. I think the decision was made.
Yeah, I think Clinton and Powell, they're playing right now, I believe, as we speak. So, but we do have the Campbell County ball game, and I want to go back to that. Campbell County, as we talked about last week on the show, last several years, actually, honestly, Coach, as long as I can remember, Campbell County has always been tough in women's basketball. In fact, they've beaten us 18 times. That's the most that any team has ever beaten Oak Ridge. Of course, we've beaten them 99 times, but still, with the program that we've had since the beginning, 18 is a lot.
It is a lot.
A lot of them have been in tournament situations, and the last couple of years, as we talked, you split during the regular season with them. You won the championship game, and I didn't know what to expect looking at their record, but it was, to me, a typical Campbell County team. They still had the inside presence, Madison Brady, as we talked about, and their guard play was much better than I honestly anticipated it to be.
They're a good basketball team, and they've had great leadership and older kids that have graduated, and they've been practicing with those girls, when they were younger, and now it's their time to play, and they've struggled with injuries. But I think I told our girls, it doesn't matter who we're playing. When we step out on the court, we're going to get everybody's best. And we're always going to get Campbell County's best.
Right.
Always will get their best. And they're a good, solid basketball team. I think we've said this. Their record is not indicative of how good they can be. But it was a good game for us.
In a moment, we'll show some highlights from the game, but I just want to talk about it a little bit. You have one quarter that you actually started out really strong. I mean, you had a substantial lead, I believe, was it the second quarter, I believe it was? They outscored you there at the end, or maybe it was the third quarter.
I think it was the third quarter. We scored 4 points quick.
And then they scored the last 10.
Yes.
So, and I think it was maybe 27, maybe after 3. So at that point, I honestly can tell you I was squirming a little bit because, I was, sometimes momentum, especially in high school sports, is a big deal, and they seem to have the momentum.
It is, and really since our first year coaching, I remember we were preparing for William Blount in the region. And William Blount at that time was crazy and wild, and they trapped 3 and 4 girls. We practiced against 10 players on the court to prepare for the craziness that William Blount was going to show us. And so what we said then and what we still say is this game is it's a game of runs. And so we know we're going to go on runs. But the other team is going to want to, when the other team goes on their runs, what do we have to do? We have to stop them. You stop a run and you go score and you start your own run. And what we didn't do with Campbell County is we didn't stop their run. You know, we allowed them to continue. And I told the girls after the game, I said, you know, I'm sure several people watching this game were questioning me, why didn't she call a timeout? You know, but for me, part of this team growing and developing is they've got to learn how on their own, without coach calling a timeout to stop a run, they've got to defensively stop a run and go score. And then change the momentum and get the ball back and the momentum going back in our hands. And I wouldn't let it get out of control. You know, I did call a timeout when it got tied, you know, because at that point it's like, okay, you know, they're not going to do it on their own. We're going to have to change some things up. But, you know, I've got faith in my girls. I know what they're capable of. I keep saying this, we're still growing, and we'll continue to grow for a while because we've got a lot of growth. There's the ceiling's really high for this team. But, you know, it got a little, you know, questionable there for a while, but that's good for us. It's good for us to be challenged. It's good for us to learn how to, we finally stopped it, and then we started our own.
Dylan, let's go ahead and roll the highlights from the Campbell County game played this last Friday at the Wildcat Arena. I don't know when this is. And Coach, I want to talk to you about your new coach there at some point. Remind me to do that before we go off here. I honestly have not met her yet. This is early on in the ball game, obviously just free throws, but you can see there's a good crowd there for the game.
There was a great crowd. You know, we're thankful for the fans that came out and supported. It means a lot to the girls. It's fun. It's fun to get to play in front of a lot of people. You
can see Madison Brady there. She's the one next to Brianna Dunbar. There's an offensive rebound there by Kamari over Brady, which was good.
And we were very pleased with our rebounding in this game. I felt like we crashed the boards well and rebounded defensively fairly well.
I thought Hope Holt really shot the ball well, in particular in the first half. I believe she had 7 points.
She did. Yeah, they're playing in triangle and two, guarding Kamari and Bree, and they're leaving Talia and Hope open. And Hope was able to capitalize on a few shots there in the first half.
You didn't get as much out of offensively from Kamari, especially. You got some from Bree late in the ball game, which were really big, especially those free throws.
Right. Yeah, and you know, and there are going to be games. I mean, I would say a lot of people are going to play us that way defensively, and you know, other people have to step up. But there's still things that Bree and Kamari can do to get, you know, to help our team and to score, and defensively, especially, they can turn defense into offense. They can't get in a triangle and two if we're in transition.
Right. And there was one little spurt where you got 2 turnovers in a row, led to easy baskets.
Right.
And I think we'll probably see that in here in a second. Here's a block shot right there, Rajay blocking.
Yeah, I was super proud of Rajay. I mean, her defense against Brady all night was tremendous, and her timing was really, really good inside. She had several blocks, but she handled her extremely well.
Thought Samaj might be able to shoot that one right there, but you know.
You got to drive to look to score, not drive to look to pass.
And here's Talia, and a little jumper there by Rajay.
And Talia, I'll tell you, she took some shots there in that stretch when there was that run where it was Campbell County that were not good shots, and we talked about it. And then, you know, in the fourth quarter, she, after going through this mental time of frustration, you know, struggling a little bit offensively, she hit a huge 3 for us and was able to you know, score for us when we needed it.
Here's one of those first transition buckets there.
See, that's what I'm saying. They can't guard you. You know, they can't deny things and do some crazy defense if we'll play good defense and turn into transition. And Talia, we moved Talia to the top of the press just, you know, right now, and she did a great job being very active at the front of the press.
Well, you've always talked about her length on her arms there, so here's another one of those steals this time.
And Kamari's smart in that if she will get in a passing lane, she can get steals all day long. When we're applying good ball, Hope had good ball pressure, and we were able to get in a passing lane and get a steal.
I think here's that 3 that I think was tied at this point, and then you took the lead after that and never relinquished it. Yeah,
that was a huge shot. Just I told her from a mental standpoint, that was a huge shot for us.
Then Bree, I think she missed the front end of one in the bonus, and then after that she was just perfect. And you expect that from a senior.
I do, and I expect it from Bree. You know, we just had a conversation the other day, and the team would say this too, because we had a situation in practice where there was going to be a lot of conditioning to be done at the end of practice, and I gave them the option of, you know, you can pick one player to make a free throw. If she makes it, we take away 2. If she misses, we add 2. And so they elected Bree each time, and Bree made the free throws each time. And so the faith is in Bree at the free throw line.
Yeah, I definitely have the faith there. And there she is knocking down another one. You can see Brady right there. You don't have anybody her size. And,
No.
but I thought that was, not being overly critical of her, I'll give credit to your defense and Roger in particular, but I thought it was the most frustrated I'd ever seen her in a game against us.
Yeah, I do think she was frustrated. And she's probably not, I mean, like I said, I'm sure she's faced bigger girls, but there aren't a lot of big girls her size in our area, and she can dominate fairly easily. And Rajay just, like I said, great timing, very smart defensively against her, and handled her really well.
Coach, let's take a break here. We are on Off the Glass. Feel free, if you want to be a part of our conversation, you can ask Coach Redmond. We've got a lot of basketball to talk about, and coming up Friday night, and then Lady Wildcats will be traveling to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, next week, and we'll talk about that. But first, we're going to take a break here. We are at the studios of BBB, and we'll be back with Coach Redmond in a moment.
Everything we do is in search of more go. If it can withstand 0 degrees, can it go -20? If it can run through 5 inches of water per hour, can it go to 6? We go. So it goes. So you can go. It's hard to stop a train.
Train. Extreme conditions testing. It's hard to stop a train. Really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling.
We're always moving. Scratch that. We're always moving forward. But forward can sometimes look a little backwards. Or like circles. Or like nothing at all. But we never stop. We never stop because life never stops. It's hard to stop a train.
Train, extreme conditions testing. It's hard to stop a train. Really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling.
And welcome back to Off the Glass, the Oak Ridge High School Basketball Coaches Show, as we prepare for Clinton Lady Dragons coming up on Friday at the Don W. Lockhart Gym over in Clinton. We would be talking about the Carnes game, but it has been rescheduled. I think you told me for January the 23rd.
That's what I was told today, yes.
So that's obviously a little farther in advance here, but we can talk about Clinton. This is a team that, look at their roster. I recognize a familiar name on the roster, a former Lady Wildcat, obviously, playing for them.
There are 3, actually. Yes.
I knew there were, I knew 2. I mean, I didn't know about 3, but are they starters? Or?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I haven't seen film on them. But last year, a couple of them did start, so
Really?
I would, yeah.
Well, Clinton's a team that has struggled against Oak Ridge over the years. In fact, looks like, do we have a call there, Dylan? Yes, sir. You might want to listen to your thing. Let's go to the phones here. Thanks for calling. Your question or comment for Coach Redmond.
Yes, I want to congratulate you and the team on the wonderful year you're having.
Thank you very much.
And I wanted to thank you for all the travel that you let take these little girls to. They probably wouldn't have got to do it. And what a good on-the-road mom you are.
I appreciate that. I do. Going last year, I was a little bit concerned, getting through airport and security and some of those girls. I tried to beforehand think about all the times I'd traveled and things that had happened as far as like luggage. And so we tried to make a list of everything, do's and don'ts. And I have to give them credit. They are a great group of girls to travel with. They make traveling easy. I said it last year, and I anticipate it'll be the same way this year, if not better. We go to Phoenix. We played 8 games in 11 days on the road between Phoenix and Greenville, and a lot of travel away from home, and that's hard. 6 days in Phoenix and 4 days in Greenville, and not one argument, not one disagreement. I mean, they play, but you're a great supporter, and we really appreciate you and your husband very much.
Well, thank you. That's not why I called. I was because I love watching the girls play. Unfortunately, my immune system's not doing too well right now, so I have to listen. But I'm listening.
Well, we appreciate it.
And I appreciate you listening, too. That's always good to know.
Okay.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
So that's always good, and I know that is too, obviously. So let's see if I have to hang that up. Dylan, do I have to hang that up, or? I probably should. Probably not. Okay, there we go. I always, it's cool. In Oak Ridge especially, you got a lot of community people. There's one group that sits in the middle section, class of the 50s, and they're always at every ball game. So.
They are, and that core group. I mean, they're not all the same, in the same group, but there's a core group of people that support and that you can count on home and away games, and the girls love that, and they know who they are, and they appreciate the dedication and the support that they get.
Let's go back to the Clinton team. It's been a long time since Clinton has beaten Oak Ridge. Long time, 27 years. That's a lot of pressure on.
I started to say, Mama.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and Clinton's had some really good teams over the stretch of time there, and we as in Oak Ridge have managed to win those games. What about this particular? You haven't seen them, I guess, but I guess they're pretty much what they do is what they do.
Yeah, and the coach has done a great job with them over the past couple of years, and they've been one of the top 4 or 5 teams in our district. They're going to play hard. We're going to get their best. A couple of those girls. I mean, our girls are friends, and it's competitive, and I don't expect anything less. I think it'll be a battle, and we'll have to play hard, and we'll have to be ready to play.
It's your final district ball game of the pre-Christmas schedule part. Then you'll be traveling to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and we talked a little bit about this last week, and I was looking at the bracket. There's several different, as you talked about, tiers,
right.
Just kind of like it was in Phoenix too. But I noticed there's some familiar names in our tier, which is kind of Science Hill being one of them. I remember the guys went to the Bahamas and played Jefferson County one time.
Right,
so.
and I think they played Science Hill one time.
Yeah.
So.
But obviously a good tournament. I know in our bracket, I said this last week, on the other side of the bracket is Christ the King, Shamiqua Holtzclaw. You might remember her at the Lady Balls years ago, and some other teams. 2-time state champions of Kentucky, I think, who you're going to open with.
Right.
That'll be Wednesday. I think there's a time change on that.
Yeah, originally it was 10:15. Now it's going to be 1:45. Same team, playing the same team, just different times.
Did you have big fundraisers for this tournament?
We have. We fundraise. We've got a great booster club and people heading that up and supporting it, and a lot of people locally that really support the team and the girls. And but we do a lot of fundraising. We have to. Because I like for them to be able to travel. I also like for them to have nice things, gear, and to represent our school and our community. And I'll be honest, I always tell everybody, I mean, those girls work hard and they earn it, and it's something for them to be proud of.
Last year, obviously, you went to Phoenix. I think you told me, well, you can't go to Phoenix every year because, but you did get invited, which was, I wonder if you'll be invited next year.
I don't know. I think it'll depend on how successful we are this year. I told her, as soon as we got back, we started getting invitations to other tournaments because we won. You win, everybody wants you to play. So I think it'll depend on success this year.
Why do you like to go to tournaments like this, besides, I guess, just to get other competition that you don't see normally in your...
I think that, when I first took the job, the girls were like, can we go somewhere? We want to go to a tournament. We don't want to go, locally. We want to travel. And my thing was, well, we got to get to where we can. And that means from a competitive standpoint. And I didn't know, where we were. And even my first year, did I think we could go to the state tournament? Yes. Did I think we would? I really didn't. I didn't think it would be there for another year probably, and they surprised me. And at that point, we were working for something, and they got to the point where they could compete, and we could go out and And you get to a point where you've got to play that competition to get better, and to expand your game individually and as a team. And these girls, there are several of these girls that want to go beyond high school and play college basketball, and we've had a good line of that the past 4 years. And in order to do that, we got to expose them to more basketball, because there's a great bigger world out there than just locally. And that's the basketball standpoint. It makes us better. It gets us ready for March, because we're playing ultimately for a state championship. That's what we want. And then the flip side of that, just the experience. I can't tell you. I travel. I was fortunate to play college basketball and to be able to travel. And play major cities, New York and Boston and Seattle, and went to France for a summer. And those are experiences with my teammates, basketball and socially, that I will never forget. And to be able to give that back to these girls and give them memories that will last in a lifetime, and first experiences. And I remember parasailing for the first time in the French Riviera. I'll never forget that. Just like some girls last year seeing the Grand Canyon for the first time.
So we're going to France next year?
Oh, I would love to. Wouldn't that be great? But it's important to me. I've always said it's bigger than basketball. If to me, I don't. If I'm coaching just for basketball, it's not going to be very much fun. I'm depending on 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old girls to, determine my happiness, basically.
Right.
It's bigger than basketball. It's about life, and I'm not trying to be anyone's parent, but I'm trying to expose them to something that they may not ever get exposed to.
I remember you said last week that the Phoenix trip, basically, it might have been the turning point of your year. I mean, you came back very focused. Go back to that first year, your first year. What was the turning point of that season? Do you remember when you knew that perhaps that team could actually advance to the?
I really think a big turning point in that season was we got beat by Farragut 2 times. Real quick, we played them back to back, and that Farragut team had beaten the same team, because no one graduated the year before, the very last game of the season, pretty badly in the first round of the region. But they played them so close, both games, and we should have won. And each game that we played, they believed a little bit more. And I just think I don't know that there was a turning point. I just think they were so hungry to play basketball and to be coached, and they just wanted it, and they were like sponges. And if I talked, they listened, and whatever you asked them to do. And that was a team that didn't have the most talent, but they had the best work ethic of any team I've coached.
I hope your girls aren't expecting the beach to be to be like 85 degrees next week in Myrtle Beach, because it's not that much farther. So it's still the ocean. It'll be there, I guess. What are your plans other than just basketball?
They've got a really nice deal where they'll give us vouchers and different things to do some things around the Myrtle Beach area. They've also got 4 college basketball women's college teams coming and playing, and we'll get tickets. We'll go watch college basketball. They'll get to see that. And I like to travel. We like to travel, and we kind of like to fly by the seat of our pants sometimes. And we're really good at finding things when we get there to do. So we'll figure some things out to give them some good experiences.
Do you know anything about the teams that are in your bracket in the tournament at Myrtle Beach?
I don't, honestly. And that's kind of how we were going out to Phoenix last year. We're going to play, and we're going to focus on us and getting better, and we've just got to be prepared.
And then, obviously, after Christmas, you'll have the Greenville tournament. I think you're playing in the play-in ball game.
We are.
Against Cocke County. And you explained that to me. I think they asked you.
I was asked, yes. But just because we're close, and they needed someone to play that day after Christmas. And so hopefully, it's going to be a tough one, because we're going to get back from from Myrtle Beach on the 21st, and have one practice before Christmas, and then have a couple of days off, and we play the day after Christmas. And I'm not practicing on Christmas Day, so we're just going to go right back to the gym for a game, and hopefully we'll be ready to go.
Well, I noticed last night, too, that I think it was last night, Cocke County had a win over a pretty prestigious team. I've forgotten who it is. I probably shouldn't have brought it up, but I thought, wow, they might be pretty good, because they've beaten a team that I know that's good. So, they've really worked really hard to get the talent pool, the level of teams up this year up there, and so I expect every time we step on the court we're going to be challenged. Well, you're the defending champions. In fact, Oak Ridge has won more championships at that tournament than any other team in the history of that tournament. So it's kind of that's where you want to be. You want to be the team that has the bullseye on your back.
Right, and we do, up there. So we'll be challenged, and it'll be good for us.
Coach, any comments before we close out your segment here?
No, just excited, play Clinton on Friday, like you said, close out this part of the district before Christmas and getting ready to travel and have a good time with these girls and give them some life experiences and then get back to it after Christmas.
Everybody healthy going into Friday's game?
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. I was going to ask you about your new coach before I forget.
Christina Sims. She is a school counselor, which, I'm a counselor at the high school, so that was nice to have. She's at Carnes Middle. That's where Coach Trent, my other coach, teaches, and she's been an assistant coach there for 6 or 7 years. And, she's great with the girls. I mean, she hit it off with them immediately. She's got a great personality, and so it's worked out really well.
Well, I saw Ramate at the game, I guess Friday. So I guess she's going to come when she can.
She will come as she can. She volunteers to help us, and I take her help anytime I can get it.
Do you know she played on that last team that beat Oak Ridge, that last Clinton team that beat Oak Ridge? Did you know
Really?
that?
I think at some point I'd heard that, but I'd actually like to see some game film on
Coach, I appreciate it being on the show once again, and good luck on Friday.
Thank you.
It's Paige Redmond, head coach of the Oak Ridge High School Lady Wildcats. This is Off the Glass, the Oak Ridge High School basketball coaches show. Coming up, we'll switch to the boys' side. Coach Aaron Green will be joining me, and we'll be back with him in a moment.
Train extreme conditions testing. It's hard to stop a train. Really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling. On the Train test range, you learn what makes our heating and cooling systems so reliable. If there's a breaking point, we'll find it. It's hard to stop a train. Really hard. Train, the most reliable for a reason.
We're always moving. Scratch that. We're always moving forward. But forward can sometimes look a little backwards. Or like circles. Or like nothing at all. But we never stop. We never stop because life never stops. It's hard to stop a train.
Welcome back to Off the Glass. Joining me is the head coach of the Oak Ridge boys basketball team, Coach Aaron Green. Coach, first off, no Carnes game yesterday. Kind of disappointing. I was looking forward to going over to Carnes. I know you get a chance to play them later on. I know a lot of the Knoxville teams played Carnes. But, it was honestly snowing pretty hard in Oak Ridge.
It was.
It did. But so that game was called off. But you did get a chance to play Campbell County in a district game last Friday, and that was a really good win for your team. I mean, you jumped on them early. We'll have some highlights here in a second. I want to talk about it first, but you jumped on them early. You did pretty much what you wanted to do against them.
Yeah, we got off to a great start. I think our pressure, full court pressure, really bothered them. We created some turnovers, got some easy baskets, and got a little bit of momentum. I think we got off to a 16-0 start. And anytime obviously you can start that way, it's a good thing. So I think we really fed off of our defense, and really did a good job. I thought we played well. They really did a good job of taking them out of anything they want to do. In the half court, and our pressure was good, and really guarded their. They got two pretty good players. We talked about senior number 12, and then 50. Hurt us some last year, and I thought we did a really good job of guarding those two guys. And You know, and just looking at our stat sheet, and we've done a really good job of rebounding up to this point. Now, we haven't played a really big team, or what I would call a good offensive rebounding team yet. But, you know, defense and rebounding win championships. That's kind of what we, you know, base our program on. If you're good in those two areas, you'll give yourself a chance to win a lot of games. And, you know, obviously to win championships, you got to defend and rebound. You also got to take care of the ball, make shots, and score. So there's a lot of things involved in that. But, you know, we've had double-digit offensive rebounds, and I think every game we played up to this point, we had 10 the other night, which is something we've emphasized. And those are kind of some stats that, as a coach, that you look at that can a lot of times be the difference in winning and losing games. So, gotten off to a good start. You know, obviously not being able to play Carnes last night was disappointing. It's kind of one of those last-minute deals. I mean, we actually had our shoot-around, had our pregame meal, you know, getting ready to, you know, really leave. I know the girls are getting ready to walk out the door. It's frustrating. All the other teams in our district canceled their games. There were some, I know a couple of Knoxville teams that played. Lawrence City played, Bearden and Maryville played. You know, you'd like to get it in, but, you know, you probably have a couple of those a year, so it's just part of it.
You know, one thing I was surprised about is, and I don't know what this says about Carnes, what this says about Campbell County, but that Campbell County team beat Carnes at their Thanksgiving tournament, which I know Carnes has struggled out of the gate, but they did beat Powell the other night, which was, you know, a big win for them. But that Campbell County loss doesn't count as a district loss.
Right, it was in a
because it was a tournament loss. But I don't know if that says more about the way you played Campbell County or just the way they played Carnes. Or
well, a lot of it's matchups. You know, I told our team. I mean, our guys know those type things. You know, getting ready for Carnes. You know, we beat Carnes, if I'm not mistaken, by double digits both times we played them in the regular season last year, and had to get 25 out of Marcus in the fourth quarter to beat them in the district championship game. So, you know, a lot of times, you know, you can kind of get an idea maybe off scores, but, you know, a lot of it's matchups. You know, Carnes is, you know, more athletic than Campbell County. They match up a little bit better with us. They got a big kid, you know, that's got some good size, so so their matchups are better with us. So, you know, just because you beat Campbell County by, you know, 30 plus, you know, doesn't mean. In a lot of cases, you'll go to Carnes because Carnes lost to them and beat them by 40. If you do the math, they lost by 10 and we beat, you know, whatever.
Yeah, doesn't work that way.
Doesn't work that way. You know, sometimes it's, you know, a lot of it's matchup in Carnes. At Carnes is always a tough place to play, as you know. You've been over there more times than I have over the years, and it's just a tough place to play. And they always, you know, I'd say they're 10 or 15 points better over there than they are anywhere else.
Coach, incidentally, and I was going to do it, but I didn't really have enough time today. I was working on something, but I found an old game when Ronnie Scott was playing. It was at Carnes, and the gym looks exactly the same.
I bet.
Looks exactly the same, but I was gonna, but it looks so bad. I mean, it looks like. You know, obviously, Ronnie's getting up there in age because it looked like it was from the Stone Age.
Yeah, was he guarding anybody, David? Did he play defense?
He was guarding Lee Henson, actually.
Is that right?
He was. And that's what it was. Kind of struck me is like, you know, he's obviously the head coach at Carnes too. So of course Daryl Miller was out on the floor and all those guys.
Pretty good squad.
Yeah, it was. That Oak Ridge team was really
What year
good.
was that?
87, I believe.
Okay. That was a state tournament team, I believe. 86, I know, was one, right? 86 was a state tournament team?
Yes, yeah.
88 was, I know, because...
Yeah. Coach Shipley was here 5 years. We went to the sub-state all 5 in the state tournament 4 of the 5.
4, yeah.
So
it's a good stretch, a good run.
Yeah, it really was. Well, you got Daryl Miller. He was Mr. Basketball. You're going to win a lot of games.
It helps you become a better coach.
Plus, Mike Caldwell was on that team. He played in the NFL.
Yeah,
so there were some athletes. Coach, let's roll the highlights here from the Campbell County game played this past Friday. Like I told you, there's no particular order. And I'll try to do this better next time.
No, you're good.
But,
you know, of course, this is off of free throws. There's just some transition. There's Flip Thompson, Herbert's brother, with a 3. I don't know if he meant to bank that, but it went in. Well, it counts. You know, so and Flip made 3 threes that game. There's Kel Slater. I will say this about Kel. You know, Kel's, I've noticed him being in the gym a lot. You know, he's, you know, Coach Scott used the term gym rat with Kel, and Kel, if he continues to do that, is going to turn himself into a really good player. There's Kel, sophomore to sophomore there for 3, and you know, here's Stewart, you know, in transition. Obviously, I think Isaiah had some good things the other night. He ended up having 15 points and, you know, kind of played at the level you'd expect him to play from coming off last year. And he seems to be healthy. Had a good practice today. So, but again, I think, you know, you've seen our style of play as far as, you know, we want to get it out in transition. We want to put pressure on teams in transition and use our depth. There's a good one-on-one play by Isaiah, and that's one of his strengths is getting the ball to the basket. But again, I thought the other night there's Jalen Hayward with a 3. you know, I thought the other night our transition offense was good. You know, and a lot of teams don't try to play fast. You know, it's something we try to do. I mean, we work on in practice and want to get up and down the floor, and you know, so. But yeah, I mean, we still got a lot of improving to do. You know, as far as trying to accomplish and getting to the state tournament or win the district, win the region. There's a lot of work to be done, but we've gotten off to a good start. So,
Coach, what about Jeremy Miller? I mean, it's like it kind of reminds me, and I usually said this to him the other night. It's like it reminds me of the way Jada was playing last year. Like every single night, it's 20+ points.
Yeah, and he's he's getting them in different ways. You know, he made a pull-up jumper a second ago. There he is on a steal in our press and finishes. I think we talked about this last week. I mean, he's scoring really at all levels. You know, he can score at the rim. There he is in transition finishing. He can take it to the hole. He's making threes. He had a pull-up there just a second ago. He can post up. He can play the one. So there he is on a steal in the half court with a finish. You know, so he's got a lot of different ways he can put the ball in the basket, and that's hard to guard. And I think he's he's worked himself into being a really good player. You know, and I think he's got that shot down a little over the head shot there coming over our cutter offense, and but yeah, I mean he's gotten off to a great start, and you know, and there's off our press. So some of those what I call trash buckets, he's at the front of our press. He's got some length, so he's creating some baskets.
That's what I called him on the broadcast too, and I thought, maybe that's not the best thing to call him. But
well,
it
that's
really
kind of what they
just
are.
Kind of
I mean, he's kind of creating some turnovers, and that's one thing about it. You know, he's an athletic, long type kid, and he is finding ways to get some of those baskets. You know, Millway gets some of those on offensive rebounds. There's Tim Williams on the good pass there to Cal Slater on the break, and as you can tell, we're playing a lot of guys. I think we got 14 or 15 kids in the other night, and I think right now we've got about 10 guys that we're going to play in our rotation. We could probably go 11 or 12. It's just hard to play that many, but we'll play 10 most nights and keep people fresh. And that's one thing about it. You can't. There's sophomores in here right now, a bunch of them. The way we play, you got to have some depth. I mean, you can't get up and down the floor like we do, and not sub. I mean, you wouldn't be able to finish games. So, our bench is very, very important. So that's a big factor. There's a play call and against the zone to get it into Millway. Good finish to him. Good pass by Preston and Stewart. So, a little frustration there with our pressure, but. There's Nick Dallas on Banks open, as they say. He jokingly said yesterday at practice, I got the green light from the top of the key after making that one, right? But great kid, and he's had some good moments for us as well these first 5 games. So, but I think Friday night it was we got off to a great start, and sometimes as a coach it's just especially this time of year you're just trying to find ways to continue to get better. And obviously, everybody's looking at the scoreboard trying to win the games, but you really just focus on the process and do your job, and a lot of times the wins and stuff will take care of themselves.
And of course, I've got one other play that's coming up in a moment that was kind of the highlight of the.
Yeah, that backboard dunk. And, Preston Turner. I just had dinner with Ronnie Scott, and we mentioned him earlier. I think there it is. That's a tough play. That kind of surprised me. I mean, it's an athletic, good pass. I mean, they better convert that, David, or somebody's coming out. But,
that's what Jeremy told me one time. He said that you told him if you're going to dunk, you better make it.
Better make it, yeah. They know to make a V-line to the bench. But, just another athletic play by Jeremy. Good pass by Preston. Preston's probably been the guy that I would consider right now the X factor. I mean, he's a great defender, from football. He's athletic. He's got good speed, quickness. He's a strong kid, tough kid, and he's going to guard. In most cases, one of the other team's best guards each night, and he's played well. I mean, he's from his sophomore year to what he's doing now. He's a ton better, and he's a big part of our team.
So you win that game by 36, I believe it was, and it's another district win after your Tuesday win over Halls as well. So you kind of turn your attention to Friday's ball game. This coming Friday against the Clinton Dragons. It's a senior-dominated team. I think they have 5-6 seniors on that team, and it's tough, always over there. You've been very successful the last several years, and we have as a program have been successful, but it's a Clinton team that's hungry to beat an Oak Ridge team for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And I've said really probably throughout, since the summer till now, that I thought Clinton, this is probably the best team Clinton's had, most talented team Clinton's had in the 10 years I've been here, I think. Now they've got some losses. I still think they're trying to figure some things out as far as rotations and gelling and stuff like that. But, I mean, they've got, arguably, I'd put up some of our guys against, as far as, probably one of the better players in our district with Evan Winchester. He's a tough matchup. I think going in the game, he's probably the best guard we've played up to this point. He's a tough kid. He can, he runs a point. He can handle the ball. He can drive it. He can shoot it. He can score, all three levels, at the rim, mid-range, and three. So he presents a challenge for you. Last year in the district tournament, we played them and did a good job on him, I thought. But he's a tough matchup. He's not the only one they got. They got another sophomore kid, and Jackson Garner, who hurt us over there at their place last year. I think he had 4 or 5 threes in the first half. He can hurt you. And Coach Lockard's son, Chase Lockard, I believe, number 12, he's gotten a lot better and can shoot it. They've got some length inside. So, I mean, they've got some pieces that, can, I think Coach Lockard's teams always get better throughout the year, and they usually are pretty scrappy by the end of the year. So it's one of those games where, if you're not ready to play and you get over there and, not taking care of business, that there's no doubt you can have your hands full. I mean, they've got a good enough team where they can cause you some problems.
You're undefeated to this point in the season, which, as you said to me for years, 10 years now, it doesn't really matter until you get to tournament time. But it helps to kind of get the wins along the way, obviously, and you've been successful at the start of this season.
Yeah. I mean, I would rather be 5-0 than 0-5 for sure. Sometimes as a coach, my dad told me this when I got into coaching, almost 20 years ago, that, I've said this to you before, regular season is really scrimmages to get ready for postseason. Because, I mean, if you think about it, every high school basketball team in the state tournament will be in the playoffs. So everybody, when the regular season, the last game ends, everybody's got a 0-0 record. So really, obviously, you don't want to, we don't have the mentality where, we don't care if we win or lose. Obviously, that's not the case, and we're trying to win every game. We're getting after it in practice. We're scouting. We're doing all these things. But, really, it's the process of, what are you doing from day one to the last game to make your team the best they can be. What are things we got to do to get better? Because the bottom line is when you play a really good team, are you going to be ready? Right now we haven't. I wouldn't say we've played the best teams on our schedule yet. And as you know, David, to have a chance to win a district and region and win a sub-state game, go to the state tournament, and win some games there, you've got to play well in all areas. So that's kind of been our mentality. It's worked for us. Playing, I think, a tough schedule helps. It gets your team ready. I think if you play weak schedule, it can really bite you late in the year. So, but yeah, great start. We're good to be. And then one thing about it with your district games, they do mean something. I mean, if you finish first or second based on how our league is set up, you get a bye into the region, which is big because you know how the district tournament goes. You can get upset, get knocked out, not even go to the region. Right. So you are playing for something. That's kind of our mindset, and let's just get better each. If you just get a little bit better each day, by the end of the year, you've made some progress.
Coach, we're going to talk more about because you told me last week, you had one day of practice with the whole group. Yeah. You've had several now, I guess they've all been there. We'll take a break now. We'll come back and talk about the upcoming schedule as the Wildcats get ready to go to take on Webb and Siegel. Next weekend. We'll talk about other things involving the Oak Ridge basketball program. If you'd like to join us, please give us a call. We had some calls in the first segment, Coach. Maybe we'll get some calls in the last segment here. Take a break here. We're on Off the Glass. We'll be back with Coach Aaron Green in a moment.
Everything we do is in search of more go. If it can withstand 0 degrees, can it go -20? If it can run through 5 inches of water per hour, can it go to 6? We go. So it goes. So you can go. It's hard to stop a train.
Train. Extreme conditions testing. It's hard to stop a train. Really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling.
We're always moving. Scratch that. We're always moving forward. But forward can sometimes look a little backwards. Or like circles. Or like nothing at all. But we never stop. We never stop because life never stops. It's hard to stop a train.
Train, extreme conditions testing. It's hard to stop a train. Really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling.
Welcome back to Off the Glass, the Oak Ridge High School Basketball Coaches Show. We've got, looks like about 13 more minutes, Coach. I want to talk about a couple things. Let's talk about the Christmas memories thing before I forget that. I know that's something that we talked about last week. It's something we've talked about on the radio. Why don't you just go explain?
Yeah, I mean, it's creating Christmas memories. I think this is our 10th year doing it. For every $100 we raise, get our players, girls and guys, get to take a underprivileged kids shopping here in Walmart. It's a great opportunity not only for our team, but obviously some kids in our community go within our school system. So, don't have a lot of money right now. We're still trying to. I've had a lot of calls, and we usually collect most of it the last week. But if you'd like to donate, just you can drop a check off to high school. Just have them put it in my box, make it out to Oak Ridge Basketball Boosters. Again, 100% of the money we get will go toward the shopping spree. So basically, how it works, give our player $100, they'll get a kid to go around shopping, and they'll get a chance to take those kids shopping. So our goal is to get about, I don't know, probably $5,000. So we need 5 $100 bills. So if you're watching and want, have a little extra money over the Christmas and want to help us out, that'd be great.
Coach, how was practice? I know, did you get you had your shoot around. Did you go ahead and practice yesterday, or did you?
Well, we always, our routine on away games is we have our shoot around right after school, and then, we eat, and then, they usually got, depending on where our game's at, they usually have an hour or 45 minutes before we come back. We always watch tape, scouting tape of the team we're playing before we get on, leave our arena to go to the game. So we got our walkthrough in and went through all of our stuff, and then ate, and then we didn't get to the film part because the game got canceled. So we didn't practice after that. It was just one of those deals. You kind of get ready for the game. Really be tough to go ahead and practice. So we just, at least we got in the gym and got some stuff done as far as a walkthrough and stuff. So, but had a good practice today.
How long does it take you really in your mind to get the football guys completely immersed and comfortable into playing?
Well, it didn't take Jonathan Stewart very long. He played well at Hardin Valley.
He did.
Of course, Isaiah was hurt. Had several football guys I thought played well. But I think the conditioning is the biggest thing. One thing in football, is they huddle every play. And I tell Coach Gaddis, y'all got to get some toughness. You come down and play basketball, you're running all the time. But so they huddle every play. So I think conditioning is, even though they condition in football, it's just a little bit different conditioning. I mean, it's your lateral movement, stance on defense, sprinting. You got a lot of agility stuff involved. So I think it takes them a little while to get their legs under them, the conditioning in basketball. So that's the biggest thing. If they haven't shot a lot or ball handling, sometimes timing can be a little bit off. Most of them know our system. The guys that's been in our program kind of know what we're doing. They may, forget a thing here or there, but that's a good thing because it doesn't take them long to figure all those things out. We don't have a whole lot of new stuff. We'll change some stuff a little bit based on our personnel from year to year, but I thought they've come along really well. Like I said, I thought Preston Turner has, really done a good job since he's been with us. I thought Stewart, he had a really good game in Pigeon Forge, I think it was, and played well against Hardin Valley. So Isaiah's practiced now a couple of times. He played well against Campbell County. So, but it usually takes him a couple of weeks to get kind of, I guess, in shape. But usually, I've always said it takes about 14 days to get conditioned, and 14 to 21, and it takes about that long to get out of shape. So.
You talk about the rotation that you want to have about 10, but you've been blowing out opponents, which is obviously a good thing, and you're getting a chance for everybody to play, which is a good thing too.
Yeah, I mean, really ever since I've been here, I think depth has been something that we've tried to build. Excuse me, I think with our freshman team and JV team, we've always played a lot of people in our varsity. Some years it may be 7 or 8. Some, like this year, we've got 10 guys that we can rotate in there and feel good about. You can play some different lineups, and but we've pretty much always had that. We've always tried to play, a lot of people. So I think that's been one advantage of, maybe we've been a little bit better this year, is because we had a handful of guys have some experience last year in JV. So, but depth for us is really important. We always tell our guys, if we're playing teams, it's only going to play 5, 6, 7 guys. It's our 10 versus their 6 or 7. We should have an advantage. So, and I think that's when fatigue becomes a factor. And I got all that from Coach Pearl when I was with him. He was big on that. Keeping guys rested and keeping people fresh. And I think if you look at their Auburn team last year in the Final Four, they were fresh. If you think back to the run they made, they play a lot of guys and they don't play a ton of minutes, and something they emphasize. And sometimes the fresher team wins late in the year, and you can get a little bit more energy. And I think that's one of the things we try to do.
You still can communicate with Coach Pearl? Or?
Yeah. I actually text. They had a close game against Furman. I watched it the other night. And actually trailed double digits late in the game and come back and won. Excuse me. Furman's not bad, so I sent him a text and said good win, and he said thanks. Just exchanged a few texts, how's the family, those type things. But spent 3 good years with him. As far as probably in my basketball career, that's probably the most beneficial 3 years I've had, is just been able to spend those 3 years learning from him.
Coach, I know you took a road trip this weekend to see one of your former players playing a different sport, T. Higgins. I think most Oak Ridge fans kind of know who he is, and he's about to be one of the wealthiest people in town here in the next year or so. I think he'll be a first-round draft choice, but it's always great to see your former players, I know.
Well, Cutler, who's back here in the background, got to go with us, and Cannon had a lot of stuff going on, so she didn't. But I'm just really glad we was able to go and witness. Most people watched it on TV,
right.
But we'll be able to witness him, breaking an ACC championship record with 182 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, we got there early enough to watch him warm up, and just a really special feeling to watch. Whether I knew him or not. I mean, it was good to be there.
Right.
And just happy for his family. His mom, got to spend some time with him after the game. Didn't get to see T because they were on a neutral field there, and you had to have, I think when they had wristbands that they only gave to certain people. So it was like midnight by the time they got done with the ceremony anyway. But, just really proud of him, as everybody in Oak Ridge is. He's worked his tail off, to put himself in this position. And it's not just a coincidence. I mean, I was actually shared some things with our team the other day. He's, when he was with us, he played he played in the state championship game in 2014. He's never in trouble, always, never missed school, never got in trouble. Just a great kid. And, a lot of times you don't find that. You got kids that got talent and they, make bad decisions, don't have the right guidance. But, his mom and family's done a great job with him. And, he's took care of business and put himself in position to have success and also make a little money.
I have a picture someplace, and it's kind of a video of when he was about this tall. We used to broadcast on the scorer's table, and I used to have these lifesavers out there. And here's this little guy. His sister was playing basketball for us, and he was just a little guy, and he would just stand there and he would just eat these lifesavers. Coach, we only have a few minutes left. You got next week, next Friday and Saturday, you're taking on Webb, defending state champions in their division, and the Siegel Stars on Saturday. Those games will be at Webb.
Yeah, and of course, we got our hands, obviously a good Clinton team on Friday. Should be a good environment there. And then, we'll have some, probably 2 of the better teams we'll play on our schedule. Webb's defending state champion, got a lot of those guys back. They've only lost 2 games, and 2 of those games were 2 games they've lost have been out-of-state Georgia teams that have some talent. So that'll be a great challenge for us. And Siegel, who's my former assistant coach, is in his 3rd or 4th year. You probably know what year. 3rd year, and he's got the best team he's had. I think they're 5-1, and he'll have a chance to get to the state tournament this year with his team. So it'll be back-to-back days of playing good competition, and this, it's kind of one of those deals we talked about, the schedule. So this is where you'll, get into opportunity to, guys get to face some good competition, and you got to play well, and this is how you get better. So it'll be 2 good matchups for us.
Following Christmas, you're going to CPA to take on some great competition. I mean, it's a fun tournament to watch. Coach Barnes sitting there watching all the games back to back to back. So
Yeah,
I would expect the same kind
We
of.
played in front of Coach Barnes that first game against Whitehaven last year at CPA. This year we drew CPA the first game, the home team, that late night game at 8 o'clock on the 27th, and I really hadn't looked to see who we're playing yet. We'll start gathering some tape. We'll kind of get through this game Friday and start getting some tape from them. But it should be we've played well the last 2 years we've been up there. Played some good teams, and I thought made some progress. So it won't be any different this year. It'll be a good tournament.
Coach, just your final comments.
I'd like to see a good crowd there on Friday night. Play
There will be.
Yeah, I know there will be. It's a great, it's a good rivalry, great environment, and I know our kids are excited about playing. It should be a good basketball game. And if you're watching, and again, I'll stress to you as far as donating to our Creating Christmas Memories, contact me directly at school, or shoot me an email, or just even drop a check off at school and tell them it's for me. Make it out to Oak Ridge basketball and tell them it's for the fundraiser. So come out if you haven't watched this team play. They're fun to watch, as you said plenty of times. They're fun to watch. They play hard. They're unselfish, and a lot of times at this point, I'm just going to try to stay out of their way and hope we can just keep playing well.
Coach, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you, David.
It's Aaron Green, head coach of the Oak Ridge Wildcats. Remember, the game is Friday night. The Wildcats traveling to Clinton, take on the Clinton Dragons. Girls game will be at 6. The boys game is 7:30. Appreciate Dylan in the back. Until the next show, this is David Clary saying so long, everybody.
On the Trane test range, you learn what makes our heating and cooling systems so reliable. If there's a breaking point, we'll find it. It's hard to stop a train. Really hard. Trane, the most reliable for a reason.